What up? And welcome to my attempt at explaining the mess that is Daz to Unreal, specifically using the Daz to Unreal plugin. This is a longer video, so I'll do my best, but I'm not really going to go to in-depth about why things are the way they are, and we'll be covering only to the point of basic setup. I also won't be covering skin setup in this video. But hopefully after this your character will be all ready to go from a programming standpoint, hopefully. We'll see. Keep in mind that my setup is already done and I don't think I could start from a blank point unless I deleted and reinstalled Unreal. So, let's start this shit show. I'm going to show how this works for me. And I'm telling you, it's this way because this is the only way I've got it to work so far. You know what, to save time and not sound even more stupid, I'm just going to skip trying to explain how to install the plugin because it's been so long I would have to watch a tutorial on how to explain how to do it before explaining how to do it. I'm just starting from assuming you have the plugin installed and need info about how to actually export and set up the character. But there are two main things I wanted to point out beforehand. 1. In Unreal, you need to go to your project settings, and under plugins search for the Daz to Unreal settings. There's two checkboxes here. Fixed bone rotation on import, and zero root rotation on import. Every tutorial seems to say different things, but having only fixed bone rotation on import selected has only ever worked for me. But if you're getting really odd deformation, or any other problems on import, play around with these settings and see if it helps. Next, as I've found out, some characters, for some reason, just don't import, or seem to register as G8 on import. I don't know why this is, only that it is. The character imported should be automatically assigned to the G8 provided skeleton. If not, it will generate its own skeleton and everything we will do here no longer applies. If that happens, then try loading a different character in Daz and see if that helps. It's a very bitchy system. So, I'm going to load up the base G8 character. I'll throw a morph on it and some eyebrows just for shits and giggles. I'll go to the menu, select File, and then send to Daz to Unreal. Note here, you can actually export a character with a mesh smoother on in, if you're like me and do that. But in my experience it seems to mess with post-processing and target morphs. But give it a shot if you want, who knows. Name the file, and make sure it's on skeletal mesh. Now you have the choice to export morphs and add subdivision. Morphs are easy, just a cluster func to search for sometimes. Pretty much any type of morph you have for G8 can be sent, pose controls, muscle morph, full character morphs, anything really. I just deleted all mine and I had a buttload of them. I'll just select some basic boob morphs and a smile or something. Next, you can actually add subdivision if you want. Just click the box, open the menu and select the level. You don't have to, but I usually use one sub-level to take away many of the pointy edges when it gets to Unreal. Don't quote me, but I do believe you can also select sub-D levels from the next menu that comes up after exporting. Anyways, that should be it, just wait forever, and eventually another menu will pop up. That's what digital art is. 99% waiting and 1% yelling at the computer because everything never works right or your program just crashed after waiting. The default settings here are fine. Just make sure include morphs is selected and include animations is not selected. Also, in the upper right corner there is an option to include subdivision data. I believe this will give your character the sub-D level you had selected in Daz. So if you had your character set to sub-D2, for instance, it will export as sub-D2. But I'm not completely sure about that. You can play with other settings if you want, but the default is good and you can just accept. Wait some more. Once loaded, find where you imported it. I usually delete this anim thingy because nobody knows what it's for. That leaves us with the skeleton mesh and physics asset. Now open the skeleton mesh. You might notice that mine has some blue bones in it that yours doesn't. This is a good time to mention, all these G8 assets we are about to use apply across the board. The G8 skeleton is the G8 skeleton. If any changes happen to it, it applies across all your projects and Genesis characters. Like she now has these virtual bones I added earlier for a different character. You can poke around these settings and you may notice that the morphs you imported, if any, are located to the right in the Morph Target Preview tab. You can play with them, just check the auto box when done to reset them. Now you need to retarget the skeleton. So head to the left side and select the Skeleton Tree tab. Click the little settings cog in the upper right corner and select the Show Retargeting options. Mine is already set, but yours probably looks like this. All you need to do is right-click on the hip bone and select to recursively set Translation Retargeting Skeleton option. This is one of those things that people always have set differently in tutorials. Some this way, some that, some the other. But this is the only setting that works for me. Everything should say skeleton except the root and IK bones. I'll select the G8 skeleton, and you'll notice that I actually come up. But you will want to find the Preview Mesh section and apply your imported character. Then click the Apply to Asset option. Apparently, I didn't record that part, but the Preview Mesh is on the right side in the Preview Scene Settings tab. You can also go to the main viewport and plop the skeleton mesh into the scene to get a look at it. Alright, now here's the thing that most other tutorials seem to miss and took me forever to find out. Oh, I show it later too, I think, but if this folder doesn't show up, there is a settings button on the upper right of the content drawer. There is a setting in there to show all plugin, stuff, or something like that. Make sure that is checked. I am so good at explaining things. If you go into your content drawer and search the engine folder for the plugins folder, there should be another folder in there called Daz to Unreal Content. Unbeknownst to everyone, this will contain everything you need, basically, pre-set up, to not have to try and set up a character from scratch. Okay, I kind of funked up the editing here, but we'll get back on track in a second. Next, go back to the content drawer and open the retarget folder. These three blueprint thingies are what we will be playing with next. So open the middle retargeter one. This is where you will be able to retarget animations from UE5 and for mannequins. All the IK chains are pre-set up, and we won't get into all that mess here. You shouldn't have to mess with anything except to settings up top here. In the IK rig asset, you need to place the G8 IK rig from the drop-down menu. Double-click to open it up. This is the full-body IK rig. You can pull around the feet and hands to see how it affects everything else. Welp, you probably don't see a character, do you? So, duh! Make sure to place your imported character into the preview meshes here and in the retargeter screens. Now go back to the content drawer and open up the basic foot IK thingy. I know, right? This makes you want to kill yourself. So make this short and sweet. Just follow along. There's a few spots in here where the wording or labels are red. Switch those out with the corresponding bone. Left foot, right, right. All IK bones. Check around SP you don't miss anything and then compile and save. Always compile and save. Nope, I lied. We will stick with IK rigging. Somewhere in the Daz to Unreal content folder there should be an animation blueprint, right? No? Yes? No? Welp nuts. This is where it gets messed up for me because I either already relabeled and moved it or it isn't there and I created a new one. I can't know for sure at this point in my Unreal life. No, it's not the one labeled post-processing. So, if you can find one, an animation blueprint, just duplicate, relabel, and open up. If not, just go to where your imported character is and create a new one. Just right-click in the content area, find animation, and then select animation blueprint. Label and open up. Now it should open up right to the anim graph, with the output pose node showing. This is my current animation blueprint. We will set it up so this control rig is already preset for anything you do in the future. Just right-click somewhere and type in control rig, place and select it. Find the control rig class in the details panel. In the drop-down you will notice a bunch of options. Again, every tutorial has said different things, but the only setting that has ever worked for me has been the Genesis 8-foot IK control rig setting. Once you have animations you can try others and see what does and doesn't work. You also want to make sure is foot IK enabled, checkbox on the node is checked. Basically all this IK stuff is a line trace that shoots out your butt and down you foot, or something magical like that, to adjust the foot height when walking upstairs and other unlevel terrain. Pretty badass, really. This time I know it will work. Go back to the Daz to Unreal content folder in the content drawer. Find the pre-made Genesis 8 character blueprint. Duplicate, label as desired, move to your character location if you want, and open it up. All you need to do here is select the mesh option in the components panel on the left, and then in the details panel on the right. Find the skeletal mesh window drop-down thingy and select your imported character. That's it. But I do know one thing, based on trial and error, and contrary to almost every other tutorial, if your character doesn't pop into that collision capsule all nice and pretty at the right level, and facing the right direction, like this one just did, something is wrong. At this point you should not have to move or rotate the character to make them come up like you just saw here. All the tutorials will say, just rotate and move, blah blah, no. I guarantee if that's the case then something is fucked up and will create problems with rigging or animations down the line. I can't even be sure what it is, but I know following this setup stopped it. Rant anyways. You can now pop this character blueprint into your scene. Okay, so, if you go back into the character's skeleton mesh, I just wanted to kinda show that this is where you can change things like the physics asset or the post-processing animation blueprint. Different characters may require different things. For instance, I have multiple physics asset just for jiggle physics, but I can apply it to any characters, because they may all have different jiggle size requirements. And post-processing requirements may be different character to character. Most things, like post-processing, can just be duplicated, renamed, and applied to whatever character. Nothing I'm doing here needs to be changed, I'm just flying around to bring attention to certain areas with the pointer. And checking if I forgot anything. Oh yep, I did duplicate the post-processing blueprint and switch it out in the skeletal mesh, just to show how it's done. Okay, I did miss something. Open back up into your Genesis 8 character blueprint. Select the mesh and wander down the details panel. Right near the top, under animation, there is a drop down to place your animation blueprint that was created earlier. You can also change the animation mode if you just want a single animation asset to play. Remember to compile and save. That's pretty much it really. As long as you know these assets are already provided and set up, it can save days or months of headaches. So we have the animation blueprint with the IK control rig ready to go. You can open the standard G8 post-processing blueprint to take a look, but nothing needs to change there and it should be by default already be applied to the G8 skeleton. We have corrected the basic foot IK blueprint. We set up the retargeter. Okay, real quick, to retarget animations you can hunt them down in the content drawer. Just right-click and select Retarget Animation Asset. You can also do more than one at once. You have to select the G8 retargeter, and then whatever mannequin you're retargeting from. Sometimes you may have to retarget from UE4 to UE5 mannequins before being able to apply to G8. Okay, so this is another thing other tutorials missed and ruined my animation life for so long. If your imported character is not assigned to or using the provided G8 skeleton, this will not work. And you will probably spend the day wondering why it worked in the tutorial but doesn't even give you a retargeting option. That is why. It means either your retargeting isn't set up properly like we did here, or your character is not, for some reason, using the G8 skeleton. Here I'm just going to retarget UE4 to 5, and then to G8 to show the outcome. Yep, they won't come out perfect, but that explanation for another tutorial. Okay, that is all I can think of for now. Hope this makes your Unreal less of a nightmare. Until next time.
Bye!